just judging from your past winnings and your past tournament experience, when you're out there, do you differentiate between like your wrestling technique and your jiu-jitsu technique, and what percentage of your success would you attribute to wrestling versus your jiu-jitsu training?
I attribute a lot of my success to wrestling just because of having a base. But I will say this, I learned wrestling like a wrestler and jiu-jitsu like a jiu-jitsu guy. I didn't try to learn, just muscle through jiu-jitsu like a lot of wrestling guys do, which I think is their downfall. I tried to learn jiu-jitsu technique for technique as it was shown by my instructors, and that's made all the difference. Where I had such a good grasp with wrestling and a good understanding with the jiu-jitsu, I've been able to blend them pretty well, and I've been able to adapt my wrestling to be more jiu-jitsu and grappling specific, where when I take a guy down, probably 70, 80, and I hope 90% of the time, I'm not dealing with the guy's guard just because I'm out to the side, or I'm swept the legs out, or I'm in a front headlock, or I'm in a drag type of arm drag type of position where the guard gets negated a lot. So at least from fighting on the feet, that's part of my philosophy, is use my wrestling where it'll keep me strongest and keep me on top. So yeah, I've definitely, I think, gained a lot from having that wrestling edge. My philosophy has always been kind of out-wrestle the grapplers and out-grapple the wrestlers, and it's worked pretty good so far, so I think we'll stick with that.
So you mentioned that when you first started jiu-jitsu, it really bugged you. So what were some of the mindsets that you just, like the mental walls that you ran up against when you started training in jiu-jitsu that were based on your wrestling experience?
Yeah, well, I think when I got first exposed to jiu-jitsu, I was bugged by it just because I wanted to learn more wrestling. I was there at BYU, compete and be on scholarship and become an All-American. And so at the time my mind was more closed, but after I picked it up the second time, I was more open-minded, I was more ready and willing to learn. So I think that initial hang-ups were more based on the situation, not so much the jiu-jitsu itself.
Yeah.
I will admit though, the first time I was looking around for jiu-jitsu schools, and I won't name any names around town, but I went to this one guy's place, and they were teaching takedowns, and I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, this is a jiu-jitsu guy teaching takedowns. I'm like, these guys are terrible. If I come in here, I'm going to just rip through these guys. And so I moved on to a different school, and came to Mike Colby's place, and he basically tore me a new page, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good stuff. So I figured, here I am, a college wrestler, I've been around and know what I'm doing, and he just took me apart. So yeah, I think after that I was more than willing to learn.
Nice. So for you, gi versus no gi, do you lean more one direction than the other, or do you things you like about both? Or
I love them both. I mean, I compete in a lot of stuff. I mean, if we had sambo here, I'd do sambo, but I do a little bit of judo here and there. I do Greco-Roman. I do once in a while we'll train freestyle and folk style stuff for the high school kids and the guys who want to train wrestling. I'll do no gi most of the time just because it's obviously more crossover with the wrestling, but I do gi stuff all the time. I love the gi. So I think they both have value. It just depends on what you want to do. Obviously MMA, spending a lot of time in the gi, you're probably better spent with putting on the gloves and putting on the headgear and learning how to grapple and getting hit at the same time. But I think that the gi can help your no-gi game, but I also think guys really discredit the no-gi game being able to help your gi game, because if you can do it without a gi, you put these things on, man, you got like handles coming out of everywhere, plus you've got like 20 more submission attempts every time you get a hold of something. So I'm like, like I say, it just depends on what you want to do, but I think everything will eventually, all your grappling, all your wrestling, it'll all help everything.
Nice. So what are your aspirations right now? Where do you see yourself going? What are you working towards in the grappling world?
I'm working towards becoming a multiple-time world champion in grappling, and hopefully gi events as well. Right now I'm 33 years old. I'm still fairly young, knock on wood, hopefully. And just want to keep training and competing as much as I can. Like I say, my goal is to win world championships and win Pan Am championships, and just keep going out and competing. And I'd like to be able to continue to pass on what I've learned with other people out there. And if anybody wants to come train with me, send me a message and we'll figure something out. So
what tournaments can we expect to see you competing in the future?
Right now I'm planning to go to the NAGA West Coast down in Vegas next month in September, and hopefully some Federation No-Gi tournaments coming up pretty soon. I believe there's a Pan Ams and a World Championships hopefully coming up soon. They want you to turn in a bunch of paperwork nowadays for entering those things, so I don't know, we'll see how that goes. I'm not a big fan of paperwork, so we'll see. But definitely do the FILA next time it comes around this year, 2010. Came real fast for some reason. We got done with World Championships 2009 in December, and then they came back, FILA did, and said, hey, let's have it in March 2010, and I just wasn't, financially able, and there were some other things. I don't compete on Sundays. That was a big issue that I had with that tournament as well, and so going to Poland to only compete in gi style or whatever just really wasn't happening for me. So, well, like I say, I'd love to continue to support the FILA events, and who knows, I've got a couple Greco guys training with me right now, so I may step on the Greco mats in the future, but I don't know, I've kind of been there, done that, and grappling right now is what I'm really enjoying the most. So.
All right, so time for your opinion. In the MMA world right now, who do you think has the best jiu-jitsu?
The best jiu-jitsu in MMA? Gosh, I don't know. There's a lot of good guys. I will say this. I'm a little disappointed that Chell lost. Chell was a teammate of mine for a year at BYU. I wanted that guy to win so bad, and he was putting down all the smack that he talked, and then he got caught in a triangle. And I was like, dude, just hold your breath for another minute. You can do it, but what happens, happens. But I think, honestly, Anderson Silva's got really underrated jiu-jitsu. He's one of the better, he finishes people if he gets a hold of something. He totally dismantled Dan Henderson on the ground, which I was completely shocked by, as well as Travis Luter. Travis Luter's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys, grappling guys around. But as far as overall MMA, jiu-jitsu, Verdun's amazing. Pede Pano, when he was still fighting, he's one of my favorite all-time jiu-jitsu guys. Damian Maia obviously is a really good one, but unfortunately a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys don't seem to pan out quite as well in MMA because I think they have a hard time, flipping that switch from being on the back all the time and waiting for stuff to open up. MMA just doesn't allow you to do that. You gotta go after something or get back on the feet, and you can't wait for the sit it out. And so, Gabriel Gonzaga had the chance to train with him. He came out to Utah, trained with Eddie Morey's school up in Roy, Utah, and that was a lot of fun. So what's up to Gabriel Gonzaga too? He's a pretty tough guy.
What do you think about Frank Mir's jiu-jitsu?
Frank Mir's jiu-jitsu is perfect for MMA. It's definitely I think the best blend of finishing guys. I don't think there's too many guys that have a better finish record in MMA than Frank Mir. Hands down, he's probably got the most effective submission finishing ratios of anybody out there. And I'm going to say Fedor. I know he's not jiu-jitsu, but his anti-jiu-jitsu due to his sambo is pretty awesome. And I'm a big fan of the Russian philosophies and the sambo philosophies. So, I definitely got to say Fedor is amazing. His grappling game too.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit. Look for some big things coming from Scientific Wrestling in the near future, Catch Wrestling, and also with Dave Johnson's new gym here. I'm pretty excited that it's open. And also, right now, I'm not really teaching a lot of class, but if anybody wants to come down and learn some great stuff as it's applied for competition, you can send me a message here on YouTube, and if you want to come out and train, we'll set something up. So, yeah, thanks for the chance to have the interview.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.